Manel and his wife Julia return home to Spain. Julia brings up the subject of having children, looking for a definitive answer to plan for the future, but Manel hesitates. They argue distractedly until Julia swerves to avoid an oncoming car. But they end up stranded in the middle of the road and are hit by a truck. The accident causes their car to roll violently. A year later, Manel, now a widower, lives alone with his cat. He's deeply depressed and barely pays attention to the news discussing a strange virus that's spreading uncontrollably. Reports show footage of a patient turning into a zombie, but Manel is too detached to notice. He takes a ride, observing disturbing graffiti about the end of days, and heads to the harbor to meet buyers for his boat, which he hasn't used since Julia's death. Sorting through his boat's papers, he finds Julia's bracelet, which triggers bittersweet memories. On his way home, he ignores a call from his sister and stops at a supermarket, noticing that others are panic buying food, emptying shelves. Later, Manel ties Julia's bracelet around his cat's neck, just as news reports the virus has reached Spain. That evening, he video calls his sister Belen, who shares that her family is being moved to the Canary Islands due to her husband's government job, and she invites Manel to join them. Manel declines. The next day, he notices neighbors leaving in a rush and decides to do the same, bringing his cat along. On the road, he hears that a new virus variant is spreading through Europe, transmitting via bites and shortening incubation times drastically. At the airport, he sends a message to Belen saying he'll join her after all. But as people try boarding planes, tickets are denied and chaos ensues. An alert is issued, flights are cancelled, and panic breaks out. People try forcing their way onto the plane, but Manel receives a call from Belen advising him to stay put until further updates. As Manel tries to leave the airport, a man seizes a guard's gun and threatens to shoot, causing a crowd to flee. Manel finds himself trapped in traffic, hearing reports that all roads are jammed and the military has evacuated personnel, leaving citizens to fend for themselves. Many abandon their cars to escape on foot. Manel grabs his cat and follows suit, arriving at his neighborhood to find soldiers escorting a zombie out of a house, with a grieving wife watching in horror. He realizes he knew the man who's now a zombie. Later, he dreams of Julia's death again, reliving the painful memory. The next day, Belen calls Manel, warning him that safe zones are being set up, though with reluctance from the military, fearing virus outbreaks within. Manel decides to stay home. All major cities soon declare quarantine, intensifying street violence. Zombie sightings spread through neighborhoods and social media. Amidst the mayhem, the government announces strict emergency measures. When Manel ventures out for supplies, he finds the supermarket shelves nearly empty. People are desperate, snatching items from each other. At a gas station, he witnesses a wounded cop locking himself inside while a zombie attacks another officer, and chaos breaks out as Manel narrowly escapes bloodshed. Later, the president extends the lockdown, warning citizens to comply with evacuation orders or face punishment. Determined to survive, Manel fortifies his house, following online tips for home defense. One night, soldiers arrive to evacuate his neighborhood, but a message from Belen urges him to hide until she can help him escape. 2 weeks pass, and Manel's supplies dwindle. Without cell service, he has no way to contact Belen. Reluctantly, he ventures out, scouring houses for food, but finds little. Eventually, he meets Gabriela, a wheelchair-bound elderly woman who couldn't evacuate. She directs him to neighbors' homes that might have supplies, and he finally gathers enough food to share with Gabriela. With her help, he secures a bike to venture further and continues scavenging for survival. Days pass, and Manel frequently checks in on Gabriela, even leaving her a walkie-talkie. One day, he finds her gone, leaving behind a note urging him to save himself. In increasingly tense situations, as resources dwindle, Manel hears a radio broadcast mentioning survivors relocating to the Canaries. Determined, he heads to the harbor with his cat, hoping to reach the Canaries by boat. But when he arrives, he finds the harbor almost deserted. He stumbles upon a barely operational boat and encounters fellow survivors who agree to help him. They set off, but Manel learns from one of the men, Victor, that even the Canaries are now quarantined. After tense encounters and violent battles with zombies and guards on board, Manel eventually reaches a hospital where he hopes to find a helicopter, only to face further dangers. Our movie summary is here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like my video for more. See you.